Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed were giants of their time. One reshaped Hollywood with effortless charisma, the other redefined American music with instinct and grit. On screen, their friendship looked simple, built on laughter and shared Southern roots. But away from the spotlight, their connection followed a far more complicated path. Before Burt Reynolds passed away, he finally unburied a truth about Jerry Reed that he had kept hidden for decades, and no one was prepared for the weight of it. The duo everyone loved. For years, audiences believed they understood the bond between Burt and Jerry. They looked inseparable, trading humor and loyalty as if it were second nature. This chemistry wasn't manufactured. It was rooted in the mid-1970s when Reed first appeared in Reynolds' films like WW and The Dixie Dance Kings. Reynolds, then a massive box office force after Deliverance, saw something in Reed that the studios missed. Reed wasn't a trained actor. He had no polish. What he possessed was timing, instinct, and an authenticity that couldn't be taught. When it came time to cast Smokey and the Bandit, the studio wanted a real actor for the role of Cletus Snowman Snow. Reynolds refused. He insisted on Reed, knowing that the film's soul depended on a man who understood the rhythm of the South. Jerry Reed didn't just play the part. He wrote the anthem. Eastbound and Down became the heartbeat of the movie. On screen, Reynolds was the smooth outlaw, and Reed was the grounded humorist. Their bond was real, but behind the jokes, Reynolds began to see cracks in the carefree image Jerry projected to the world. The private agony of Burt Reynolds. While he appeared to be in total control, Burt Reynolds was living a private reality defined by physical pain and emotional isolation. Much of his tough guy reputation was built on his refusal to use stunt doubles. That commitment earned him respect, but it left his body shattered. A severe jaw injury during the filming of City Heat introduced him to prescription painkillers, a relationship that would haunt him for the rest of his life. As his career momentum slowed, the physical damage he had ignored for years caught up to him. He battled depression and a sense of loneliness that fame couldn't fix. Financially, the man who earned millions was drowning. Extravagant spending and a bitter, expensive divorce from Lonnie Anderson eventually pushed him toward bankruptcy. By the time he appeared in Boogie Nights, he was a man stripped of his old charm, delivering a raw performance that earned him an Oscar nomination, yet he remained unfulfilled, burdened by the what-ifs of roles he turned down, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jerry Reed, the tragic struggle behind the smile. While Burt was unraveling in the spotlight, Jerry Reed was facing a quiet disintegration of his own. Born into extreme poverty in rural Georgia, Reed's life was shaped by instability long before he met Reynolds. He spent time in foster care and found refuge in the guitar, playing in bars as a teenager. Success eventually found him, validated by Elvis Presley recording his songs, but the habits of his hard-knock youth remained. Reed was a chain smoker for most of his life, a dependency that led to emphysema and a steady decline in his lung capacity. To the public, he was the high-energy snowman, but to those close to him, he was a man struggling to breathe, literally and figuratively. As his health failed, his voice strained and his stamina vanished. He resisted stepping away from the music, working in the studio until his body simply refused to cooperate. On September 1st, 2008, Jerry Reed passed away in Nashville. It was only after this loss that Burt Reynolds began to speak about the bad side of their journey, the parts that weren't for the cameras. Burt Reynolds' heartbreaking confession. When Burt finally broke his silence on Jerry Reed, the lighthearted stories were gone. He spoke with a level of emotion he rarely showed, admitting that losing Jerry was like losing a brother, the only man in Hollywood he truly trusted. But the bad part of the truth was the guilt and the observation of Jerry's self-destruction. Reynolds watched his friend work himself into the ground, hiding his physical agony behind a smile for the sake of the fans. Burt confessed that they were both broken men pretending to be invincible. He revealed that Jerry's insistence on taking over the lead in Smokey and the Bandit Part 3 was a move born of loyalty to the franchise and a need to keep moving despite the pain, even when Burt himself had walked away. Reynolds admitted that the Bandit era, while legendary, had a cost they both paid in full. They shared a secret language of suffering that the public never heard. Burt's confession wasn't a betrayal of Jerry. It was a raw admission that their legendary partnership was built on two men holding each other up while they both fell apart behind the scenes. Jerry's final word. Jerry Reed never spoke a negative word about Burt. He spent his final years credited Reynolds with every success he had in Hollywood. He knew Burt had fought the suits to get him on screen. Their relationship wasn't transactional. It was a brotherhood of two outsiders who made it to the top and realized it was a long way down. Royal Time of Hollywood wants to hear your thoughts. Do you think the legendary chemistry between these two was fueled by the private struggles they both shared? Or was it just the magic of the era? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the true story of Burt and Jerry, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you never miss another untold story.